America is very good at living in the myth of America. You can't train away bias. You can't train away bigotry. He knows that he can step on the line where freedom of speech is, and that the Supreme Court will not slap his hand away.
And those people haven't given Black people reparations. Right. That needs to be addressed. We are living in literal serfdom. This is like a new medieval happening. This impacts everybody in the United States.
They cannot stand us to have anything.
And once they have established this precedent, they are going up the chain.
It has nothing to do with the American people.
Nothing.
It is all about power.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and we are fired up tonight. Oh, my goodness. And, hey, I'm loving that new intro, especially the I'm telling you, like the boom, 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 boom by LaLa. What is going on? Well, if you don't know where you're at, you're going to find out real quick. It's State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and LaLa. And do we got some fun in the house tonight? We're going to have so much fun. But before going any further, say, if you want and you're up to it, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. If you do it on YouTube, also hit the notification button so you get notified about upcoming great conversations like this one, and like it everywhere else you're watching it. So, you know what? Let's do this in this order. Let's bring up LaLa first, because we're just commoners this evening. Hi, LaLa. What's going on?
Oh, I'm good. How are you? It's so funny to see that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. What's been going on?
Oh, everything. But life is good. Life is good. You keep pushing forward. So, hey, that's good. What I advise to tell everybody.
And hello, Jen. Hello, Regina. Love seeing Jill and Aisha at the symposium. Okay, we're getting to them. We're getting them. We're going up the hill. We're going up the hill. LaLa, what's the T-shirt say today?
It says, "My Black is beautiful."
Where do you get all these T-shirts?
I have a good friend that makes these shirts,
okay.
And she always makes them specifically for me.
All right.
But I mean, she sells them, so
maybe
we'll get her a sponsor.
Absolutely. So everyone's waiting for two people tonight, and believe it or not, they're together. Lord have mercy. What is this? So
we're together.
Here are the real stars of the show. So little background, everybody. We've been doing this about 5 years, State of Things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it first started with Aisha. Then Aisha said, you know what? You should have Jill Jones on the show. I said, all right. And then I was crazy enough to say, hey, maybe it'd be great to have them together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I did that, but it's been magic ever since. And now for the first time in histoire, they are together.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's true.
Together.
It's the first time we've ever met in person.
We never met in person.
I'm like,
Yeah.
And we knew each other before I was doing the show, but it was just online and by phone.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Christopher Lawrence, greetings from the GTA area. Jen Meyer says, fabulous. Yeah. So we will talk about Triple Threat Symposium in a bit. We're going to get through all the fluff and then get to the real fun stuff.
Yeah.
Regina Ferris says, yay. And so we're going to get to the stories right quick because A, we want to spend a lot of time on the symposium. B, Aisha has to travel for a meeting for 9 a.m. tomorrow. So I don't know what kind of driving she's planning to do from New York. And Jill has to take a flight tomorrow.
Yeah. Early a.m.
So we're just going to get right to it. So I thought that they may get indicted before this man did, but it didn't happen. I thought they may get arrested before this
In New
man
York.
did. So it's
Right.
finally happening. 45 indicted.
God.
Finally, something.
Felonies.
Yeah.
Did
I think it's crazy that he's getting this out of all the shit that he's done. This is what we're getting him on. But I have a feeling that the floodgates will open.
I think there's more. I think there's a lot more than we know. Didn't you say that Merrick Garland's supposed to roll up with something else?
I said Merrick Garland should roll up with something else. Now's a perfect time because now he has cover. It's like, oh, well, there's all these other things. Let's just pile this on.
He better earn his keep.
Well, because he has to.
Earn
If
that
he wants,
paycheck.
he wants to keep that job.
Yeah, really.
Yes. It's about time. I'm ready.
But did any of you ever think you'd? Well, it still has to happen on Tuesday, so we'll see. But did you ever think? Aisha,
right? Yeah, I would too. I would love to, right? But I gotta say that when it happened, I had gotten a few texts because we were in the symposium, and I'm like, "What is everybody talking about?" And then someone was like, "You mean you don't even?" I was like, I did not know because my brain was just elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting. I was like, "For real?" Yeah.
I was watching TV when it broke, and Nicole Wallace was like, "Oh, we got some breaking news. Donald Trump has been indicted." I was like calling my daughter from her room. I'm like, "Oh, come on, look at this," and they covered it all 24 hours straight that night.
I zoomed out. It was hubby's birthday, so I didn't learn about it till the next day.
Right, exactly. I was like, what a lackluster. I'd been waiting to film the moment for myself, and it just came and went. And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, and I only happened to watch the coverage almost all night because I was revamping my presentation for the symposium. And let me tell you, there couldn't have been any more giddy people on MSNBC than there were that night.
That's true. I think that the interesting thing about this is that, I mean, I'm sure they said there's 30 counts, or they're assuming there's 30.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's more than just this hush money case. But at the end of the day, what he did was against the law. So, I mean, even if it was one or two, he broke the law. And it's so funny that it would be a woman to bring him down.
Yeah. Jill said something to me a little while ago that, it has to be more than just what's going on with Stormy Daniels, because remember all the conversation on these news shows about this Stormy Daniels thing. Everyone's saying, oh, it's just misdemeanors. It's just misdemeanors. No, these are felonies. He's got felony charges. So there is something else there that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
And I think they played it so well. Like they were like, well, maybe next week. And then all of a sudden, boom, here we go. Here we're going. So, I was like, ooh, that's kind of like here's what's getting ready to happen, y'all. We get ready to smack y'all with some stuff.
Because he tried to control it.
Yeah, he did.
Tried to run it, and they did play it well. You're right, LaLa, because they, he was trying to run it, and they got everybody distracted with, policing up and militarying up and whatever. And even he was in the dark. But in the meantime, let's see. And they've got Marjorie Two Toes. I believe she was on 60 Minutes tonight, guys.
What?
She was?
Yes, they gave a whole profile. And those are things that they do for people that they're trying to level up, people that they're trying to
right.
in the public image. And 60 Minutes ought to be ashamed.
Done. I will never watch it.
They ought to be ashamed.
I wouldn't even watch it if I was on it. Okay. No.
Okay, so a few angles I want to ask you about this, because if you haven't watched the show before, you are looking at three people that do not have any love for 45. So let me just put that out in front. But here's something interesting. Someone said to me, isn't it interesting that it's Black people that are at the front of this indictment?
All
three,
with the exception of Jack Smith, but
it scares me a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah,
because this person was saying, why are the Democrats getting Black people to do their dirty work?
Well, we saw what white people do. Just the other day when Representative Jamal
Bowman.
Bowman was going for
from
the
New
guy
York.
from Tennessee, one of the representatives there, about gun laws and gun rights. And he was like reading him like a book. And all behind, you just saw all these weasel
leaving
other politicians who didn't even walk up and have like his back. So this is why Democrats happen, and nobody believes in them. It's like, why wouldn't you roll up and be like, yeah, what he said, I'm here with you. You know,
Yeah.
Not one. They all snuck out. They were slinking out. And sorry to say, I called them white weasels on my Twitter, or like they were like little weasels.
Well,
And
they want to jump on when it's accommodating to them.
But this is why but they started to make him look like he was the
Angry black
man.
They're like,
And
calm down.
I'm like, these white men have no integrity, no backbone. And somebody, Hakeem,
Yes.
needs to pull everybody in a room and say, listen, that was for the visual and the optics that we're going for the next election. You all better look like some people. Just like, even if you don't have it in you, if you see a black person over there chewing up somebody, you better go chew too. Okay? Because that was embarrassing. And it really is the reason why no Democrat is going to get a dime from me unless they're a Democrat of color.
And you know, here's what happens in the mindset of other people. As black people, we look at that. We know that's passion. That's not anger. But I was looking on Twitter today, and this guy was saying something about Lamar from Mississippi, because Mississippi now wants to change their state flag, which is the Confederate flag, right? And he's like, well, you know, I will never vote for a Republican, but they're showing some integrity. That man is racist.
Right.
He says racist. He's been saying racist. Say racist after this is done. But the only reason that he's doing it right now with this whole flag thing is because they want to win elections.
Right.
There is a presidential election next year. They want black votes, and they want the middle class white people to forget how horrible they've been to them in Mississippi. That's all. That's the only reason he's doing it. But the fact that there are people who will look at that and say, "Oh, well, he did that, so he's worth listening to. I'm going to ignore everything else that he did." I haven't forgotten any of it. I'll never forget any of it. And
that's the thing people do, and that's what's so frustrating.
And the only reason he's doing it is because the NCAA won't go play in Mississippi. Right. People are threatening to do a boycott of Mississippi the way they did South Carolina. And let me tell you something, from having lived in that state, they lost major money from tourism and everything, especially a state that survives on tourism. That boycott lasted for a decade plus.
Well, you know,
but they are
blatant now today talking about telling people, we're telling y'all right now, no joke, don't move the floor.
No, but we've also gotten to the point where I love that they did that today, because, you know, they have been minimizing, we are minimizing racism, basic racial slants toward us. And we start thinking that, you know, the beatings are normal, and they're not normal. And it's, for me, it's just time to put the brakes on a lot of like where I shop, what I do. I'm really just doing some things on my own. You know, I might have to walk an extra block to go out of the way just so I don't have to deal with companies or corporations that I think are giving money to the wrong hands, that are actually against my own needs and my people's needs.
Yeah. And you know, the thing of it is that, remember, they do not see us as humans, these people, particularly these politicians. They see us as votes and dollars.
Yes.
That's it. Votes and dollars.
Yes.
Okay, so that's one part. Second part, is this, how much havoc is this going to cause in New York and throughout the rest of America?
Not sure.
New York's ready.
I have no idea.
Because even when I got off the train, there were National Guard and police, like in full effect. They are ready. Look, this is the federal government. And remember what happened on January 6th is that, like I told Jill earlier, the Capitol building was federal ground. Donald Trump had oversight over the law enforcement there. He knew what he was doing there. New York is a state. New York City is a city. He has no control over it. Neither does Biden. No control over over the law enforcement there. Law enforcement here, they have called out their National Guard. They have required every New York City police officer to report to work. They're like nonstop on the job. Right. And they have them, whether even the detectives who wear suits and stuff, everyone's required to be suited up in their uniform. Mm-hmm. Everyone. And there's, what were they saying? How many thousands of, what was it like? It's like in the 60, 80,000 of police in New York City.
And for military, like all these different things. Yeah. I love that the governor and the mayor here have actually, it seems like they're working together seamlessly.
Yeah. They're pretty good. They're ready.
Yeah.
And you know what else? This is how you know they're not going to really show up. Remember when Trump told his people to show up 2 weeks ago?
Oh my God.
15.
Yeah.
Now I told Joe where they will show up to is they'll go to Florida.
Yeah.
To where his plane is.
Yeah.
And we'll be out there to see him. But they're not coming to New York City because they know better. They also know that there's, New York City police have a reputation. They're not trying to go to jail.
You have DeSantis saying he's not going to do anything to stop anything.
Oh, he was selling wolf tickets at first, and all the way down. Remember, I'm not extradite him.
Wait, but notice he only said it after Trump's people already said that they are arranging to have him turn himself.
Yeah, it's like he is the convenient idiot.
It's like,
let me just
He is.
And it's not going to help. If he's already agreeing to what you're going to stand in the way of what?
The Pillsbury Doughboy. That's who he looks like, guys. He looks like he should work for Pillsbury.
Go back and put on your white boots and cha-cha dance.
Exactly.
God.
It sums up everything. And then there's nothing worse than somebody. It's like Barney Fife on Mayberry or who went like, yes, I was in the fire department, or like they run in for the fire and the fire's over. And like, well, I was getting the hose, it's like something like that. That's who he is. He takes credit for things that don't need credit for because the situation worked itself out while you were over there debating how to get off the fence.
I'm sorry. He looks like he eats macaroni salad all day. And he's back. I'm not going to do this.
Bad macaroni salad. Oh. You know what's so funny about macaroni salad? My husband from Germany once bought macaroni salad and brought it home. He wasn't sure what it was. He was like, Come on. They don't have that. He was like, he goes, what is this? And I was like, macaroni salad. He was like, they don't do it with the mayonnaise and the
yeah. Black people, we do ours with tuna.
And wait, but no, I gotta tell you that he took to my family's picnic, which was, a Black family gathering. Eric made the potato salad. This was a big deal. Mine's like, every year. Can he bring his potato salad? Because he doesn't use mayo.
Oh.
It is so good. It is like, it's German potato salad, but it's not like the Germans here are American Germans. They don't they don't do potato salad like that. So anyway, that was macaroni salad. Yeah. He's our potato salad guy, though. Yeah,
because that could go one way or the other.
I was saying something because they don't just let him.
When all the Black family members went, this is good.
Because Black people, the first thing we ask at a cookout, who made the potato salad?
Yep, and who did it? They request it now.
There's actually a film called "Who Made the Potato Salad."
It's about that. And he puts a little bit of vinegars in it. I mean, it's really yummy. And I think bacon was in it.
Eric, the chef. We thought Jill was the only culinary in that household, but Eric's got some chops.
He has a few surprises. Now he's just on the vegan line right now, trying to figure out what to do with that, because I don't know if that's his thing. But anyway, back to 45 and Stormy Daniels. I'm still thinking, I can't wait to hear the full indictments because I do believe it's more.
Yeah. I want to read all the potential time that he could get for each indictment. Yeah. Add it up and see how much. I'm going to do him like I did R. Kelly. I'm going to look at each indictment and the maximum amount of years that he can get to calculate how much of the rest of his life he's going to spend in prison.
He won't get maximum years.
No, he won't.
He won't, but if you add it all up.
Fun to imagine.
But guys, I was wrong because I didn't think they were ever going to indict
Yeah, I
gotta
because
say,
I really thought
I
it
was like,
fantastic. I really thought that they was going to just continue to skate and do nothing. So I was proven wrong.
Well, you know what? We never thought that Bragg was going to do this because remember, Bragg initially dismissed
which I didn't understand
this, but now we understand why he dismissed it because he had more witnesses to question. That's why he went after Michael Cohen 23 times because he wanted to make sure that evidence held.
Yeah.
And then even when Trump had his guy go and discredit, you know what Bragg did? He went and got what's his name? What was the guy that you just mentioned the name that starts with P? The guy, the media guy from National Enquirer went and got him to have
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yeah. Peter Paul.
Oh my gosh.
Carlotta take to pack of pickled peppers.
It starts with a P. It's Peter Paul, something.
You know, and all of Trump's men have some crazy names.
Right. So he is out there, you know, so when they brought him in to corroborate. They brought him in to corroborate Michael Cohen's last testimony and to rebuke the other guys. And that's when they did the charges. Now, here's my thing. The messed up thing, Trump is rich. Why is Rudy Giuliani out here pimping this man, telling all these MAGA folks to send him $1 for his legal defense? That's because first of all, the RNC said if he got indicted on this, they weren't going to pay those legal bills. But he needs to pay his own legal bills. And why are you sending him $1? Everybody knows he doesn't pay his bills.
It's true.
What's the point? That's just going in his pocket.
On the way out the door, this man is still stealing out of people's pockets.
Yeah. And they're gonna raise it.
You know, it's so bad that if he and when he ever dies, they're gonna have a GoFundMe. Then they'll be able to, you know, it's just like for real. They will find a way. Donate to the tears of Donald Trump's passing. You know, it's something crazy.
Okay, let me just time out just for a second. There's some I'm gonna let them go. Okay, Regina says happy to be here. Regina says happy that Bragg had the guts to indict. Hope other investigations follow.
Yep.
New friend, the inspired thought says this is all part of diminishing the value of Black people to rationalize their demise.
Absolutely.
They also say I always thought they were going to indict him, but I don't think he's going to prison. Also says the donation is an investment.
That's so true.
I think he will go to prison though.
Really? I don't.
Again, felonies.
I don't think he's going to prison.
If they were misdemeanors, no, but these are felonies.
They're going to drag this out forever.
Ever. Yeah. Regina says, I'd like to see defense lawyers try to get, look at this. She says, I'd like to see his defense lawyers try to get 45 to uphold a gag order.
His team is already trashing the lawyer that's been all over.
Yes, right. Yes.
I saw that when we were in the.
I've got this story coming up right here. Hold on.
That lawyer that Ari Melber had on, the one Tropicana or whatever his name is. Yeah, they're up there calling him dumb.
I was going to bring up that story. Yeah, this 45 team. Here's a story right here.
Oh my! Wow, they called him out. Whoa, loudmouth. Yep. Well, he doesn't even look the same when his face isn't animated in those gyrations, right?
No,
he doesn't. I didn't know he looked like that.
But you know what though? Ari Melber did try to tell him. He tried to tell him, "Are you sure this is the route you want to go down?"
They're gonna ring him like when you're ringing out your Facebook.
Yeah, they're doing him like they did to like they did Michael Cohen. Period.
And Rudy. Like they gave Rudy the wrong address for that rally that he was trying to put together. Made him look like
I thought he was going to a Sheraton.
The Four Seasons.
That's right. He ended up at a garage,
like a Home Depot in Philly.
But it was Rudy's fault for doubling down on that.
You guys are just out of bounds.
They did Rudy dirty, honey, and he's still begging for change.
So, what impact is this going to have on the Republican Party?
Oh, they're already split.
None. They're still going to elect this man who, if convicted, I just said this to Joe, if convicted of a felony, can't even vote for himself.
Right. because they also are changing their party over. They want Mitch McConnell gone. They want Lindsey gone. They don't want that old Republican Party.
Nope, and they made it very clear with little Miss Two Toes up there talking about she wants.
Yes, and Lindsey is busy doing his two-step, trying to stay in the party because the way that they have been when Marjorie Taylor Greene said we need to get rid of Lindsey, Lindsey's over there two-stepping. Well, Trump, they're doing this to Trump. It's illegal. Like
the man was crying. You would have thought
he's like, done with you. Bye, old man.
Lindsey, go back to South Carolina.
They're done. And Mitch McConnell's pretending to be really sick, or he's scheming something really crazy.
No, I'm just telling y'all,
he's hiding his hands.
You need hands. There's some stuff going on underneath his agenda. Right. He's staying underground for a reason.
I'm curious to why.
He doesn't want to be tied to that party. After this guy's got a felony. Yeah. Look, he's a felon. I don't want to be tied.
It's got a lot to do with Cameron. It's tied. He wants his son-in-law, and there's a reason he wants his son-in-law. So they're doing dirty deeds. Was it dirty?
Well, actually, his nephew. That's his nephew.
Whatever.
The black guy who wouldn't prosecute
his AG Cameron.
Yeah, wouldn't prosecute the killers of Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still nothing was done.
So Regina says he will blow his chance to weasel out conviction.
Yeah.
Well, you're thinking that he's not going to be a flight risk. I'm like, dude has his own plane. Take his passports. If they release him on his own recognizance and he gets convicted, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's out.
Well, this is a precedent, guys. I mean, there wasn't a precedent for this before. I mean, let's even face it. Nixon resigned. He had enough wherewithal to resign.
And he was small potatoes compared to this.
But they were going to arrest him, but not Johnson.
What's his name?
Ford pardoned him.
Pardoned him.
Yes.
If he hadn't been pardoned, he might have went to jail.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was a different time because people, even his own party thought that he should have gone to jail. This Republican Party, I don't even want to call it a Republican Party. I don't even know what the party is. It's MAGA Party.
It's really not the Republican Party anymore. It's the wacko.
Maybe just change it. This MAGA Party,
they are the MAGA Party. They should be called that.
Yeah,
too.
And they worship this man. It's not a political party. It's a cult, and you can't deal with cults the same way.
I mean, they're downright asking people to be prepared to do another insurrection. Like, we got away with the vote. Let's do it again. And that is like, oh, wow, this is because you are just standing straight out, no hidden agenda, no nothing out there on national news on what you need to do. And nothing is happening. Why? Because we got away with it before.
I think the issue will be that our FBI and different offices across the United States will see spikes in local behaviors. Yeah. I don't think a lot of these people can get together just based upon not having any money, enough of it to travel. It's really the moment on last minute to get somewhere. Or maybe Ginny Thomas has set up some buses again.
Right.
But if that's going on, then if it does, where they end up here in one of the most expensive cities in the world, pulling that, then it's like follow the money as to how they got here.
Yeah.
Because there's just no way they wouldn't be haven't had contact at all. Hotels, the police people are already surveilling. This is a high surveillance city, and they can see the influx. It's like when a football game or any kind of game is coming in, emergency services, let's put it this way, is already aware of who is here and who isn't.
Because they had time to prepare. See, Trump didn't do himself any favors. Mm-hmm. When he said that he was going to be arrested on Tuesday, they took that whole weekend and got their stuff together. And they since. So they are prepared. Everything.
I mean, there's people calculating on the train. They're counting you. There are eyes everywhere. And I don't think that these Hunyaks who show up here realize just how stealth the city of New York can be. Rudy Giuliani knows. And it's gotten 100 times more incredible since but it raised its bar on certain levels because they have a lot of people out And they ain't tipping their hat about who they are either.
And they're not going to come here. What they're going to do, like I said, they're going to go to Florida. They're going to go to Florida, but they're also, where LaLa sent us, going to threaten Obama. I hope you enjoyed your Secret Service visit this weekend. How are you threaten a past president? Guess what? Just because he's a former president doesn't mean that you can do that. That is life in prison.
Yes.
So they're gonna keep going after other people. They're gonna keep saying, oh, this person should go to jail or this person should be killed. It's like, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't understand how you go from Trump being, nobody's killing him. He's being arrested and fingerprinted. How do you go from that to saying that, oh, Obama should be killed? Wait a second. Wait a second. How do you jump? What's going on in your head? You jump from arrest to murder.
I know, but that's America. They immediately dispense with like, oh, we've got to take it out on the black man or the people of color, and that's what worries me, you know, about these people. But I will say that it'll be local behavior that will start to see some major little issues with how people want to be. Yeah. But America has become a really bloody sore. It's just a wound. And I don't know. It's depressing, guys.
But here's the thing. If you are convicted of a felony, you can't run for president.
No, but they say he can run all the way up to it.
He can run all the way up until he's convicted. And here's the thing: even if he wins, even if he wins the presidency, and then they convict him before January 21st, 2024, he can't take that job.
Right.
Okay, just some more comments here.
We better be on guard because Marjorie Taylor Greene is who he's gonna choose. Yeah. They're already grooming her with 16 minutes.
Positioned herself for that.
So. Inspired Thought says, remember Bill Clinton? How sure people where he was going to finally go down.
Well, what was he going to go down for? What did he do?
The thing is that Bill Clinton didn't do anything that was illegal. Now, if you really want to compare someone to Trump,
right?
You compare him to John Edwards, because remember, this happened before he was president. The hush money payments, just like John Edwards.
Yeah, Bill Clinton.
I
don't care about
when he was president, and it was campaign finance funds that he used to pay off Riel, whatever, Hunter.
Right. Yeah, I don't care about Bill Clinton for me. And it was, people's bedroom stuff. Really not my business.
It was distasteful. He did it in the Oval Office, but truth be told, he didn't break any laws.
It's always distasteful when, a woman who had really nothing to do with it, Linda Tripp. That's why it was icky to me, because I know she was positioned.
Recording conversations.
So for me, it was such a setup and such a weird thing. And I know Monica Lewinsky has her side of the story, but I really don't care.
Okay. And we made way too much of it. Sensationalism.
I didn't.
And part of that is Ken Starr and Karl Rove.
Yeah.
And look where they are today.
Regina says Melania is probably thrilled.
I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if she's thrilled or not. She knew what she was when she signed up for that marriage.
Yeah. She's just as hateful as he is.
Regina says Ford pardoned Nixon. We did go that. And Regina says people forget a lot of Nixon's people did time.
I know.
Yeah. Yes.
Sure, Jared.
So we've talked about Black people being in the front line. We've talked about the impact on America. We've talked about the political party. What does this say? What is Tuesday going to mark in American history?
It's going to mark a piece of history that hasn't been done before, which sets a precedent. So regardless of what happens on Tuesday, which I'm hoping for the best on everything, the precedent has now been set. Because before now, all you hear people talking about is, but there's no precedent for this. Like there can't be one set. Well, guess what? We have a precedent now. So we're going to see what's going to happen with this. Now, how it's going to be handled, it's going to be a circus. It's going to be a complete circus. But at least it's set now. And I do believe that this will, whether after we burn down and rise up from the Phoenix, I don't know. But, at some point, this will be looked back on history where we're like, we're not going down the road again. at the beginning of hell, people still act like we still agree to go through another Holocaust. And I mean that. I mean, people are forgetting what really happened at that point. So I'm not sure, but at least I'm glad the precedent is done. In my lifetime, I needed to see something happen.
Yeah, I think that the other part of it too is that it's not just the precedent for the president, it's also precedent for rich white men to understand you don't get away from the law.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to do it with the Bernie Madoffs and everything, but Trump is one of the most high profile of those for decades. And this represents, hey, you don't get to skirt the law just because you have money to throw. It worked for some decades, but now you've got to face the music, and eventually everyone should have to.
Yeah.
Regina says here, nobody's above the law. So my next conversation piece is Tuesday about politics or is it about law?
Both. You can't separate those two. Not in this case. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the thing, it's about politics and the law because he made it about politics and the law by using hush money to pay off someone in order to win an election.
Yeah.
True. Otherwise, if it had just been Donald Trump paying off a prostitute, which it was initially, nobody cared that he had this sexual relationship with her 10 years before he ran. Nobody cared. But it wasn't until he tried to take campaign finance money
to cover it up,
to pay for it.
Right.
And let the paper trail.
And God else he's been
paper trails have always been dirty anyway. In every business dealing that he's ever done, in real estate, in the casinos, it's always been dirty. So why did he think that this is why he was thinking, oh, well, this will never catch up with me.
I think that before. I think system, we tend to think, like I was explaining a case that I know of that somebody has where they have property that belongs to somebody else. And so they, kind of claim that it belongs to them. And then there's this other situation where in the court, the opposing side is like, but that belongs to me. And I've got proof. Here it is. And they show the proof. And basically the court, instead of the judge going, yeah, you did give birth to that baby, or that is your car. Instead, they will sit and have a trial for another 6 months if they want to, should they choose to. And then the defendants and then everybody to play this Mickey Mouse game there. And then we seem to think like, oh, it's very hands like, yes, I can see right here. This is you in the video and you're stealing or whatever. And it'll be like, well, we're going to have to try this case for like 100 years. And that is what Donald Trump has been doing for
running
all
out the
this
clock.
time. Just runs out the clock because there's no judge who is even, oh, I hate our judges in this country.
Oh, yeah.
I need a judge that goes, give him back his stuff. Give it back. Let's end the court. You're wrong. Judges are so scared to make a ruling. And the reason why is because judges don't know the law.
Except for that one in the Dominion case.
Most of them do not know the law. They rely on their clerks and their little to tell them. They do not know the law anymore. They could appoint me as a pro and I could become one, but I don't know the law. But guess what? I could collect that check, that payday, and look quite cute doing it and in my robes, but I won't know a thing. And that's really, this is what's wrong with America. We don't have judges that know the law. We have very few. That's Trump made sure and appoint 900 stupid ones.
And in a lot of counties, you don't have
pick
to
their toenails while the court's going on.
Yeah. In a lot of counties, you don't have to be an attorney,
and you don't even have to judge exactly
at all. But the lawyer and the judge in the Dominion case now told them, you can't use this defense. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to make a judgment. We're only calling the jury in here just to decide on the punishment.
But you made a good point. She said they don't even have to be lawyers to do this. But you see what it becomes is America's lust and love of capitalism is the reason everything has to be a profit sector.
Yes.
So even your courthouse, if it's not turning over money with people getting the transcripts, with people getting or find this document and paying big bucks, and paying the stenographers and all of that, they'll cut your out. You'll be in a whole nother district.
They will.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
here's the reality in America. Everything cannot be a profit sector in America.
Yeah, right.
Our hospitals are now required, our schools, everything. You can't even learn without somebody saying, did they improve? How much was our ROI on this investment? It's up.
And you know, here's the other thing.
Human beings are treated like basic products in America. We are not citizens. We're products.
Yes.
And here's the other thing too, is that we forget this. District attorneys and a lot of judges, except for like the federal ones who are appointed, are elected officials.
That's right.
Well,
And a lot of times people
they vote for their judges. They don't. We're not. Judges don't go and apply for a job, right?
Nope.
They run for an office. And
but
so,
this is why it's so important. People need to understand that this is a basic level government. How many people do you know? And I can tell you almost all the people that I know, when they go in, they vote, and they're like, who's this judge? Oh, okay.
Thank you. And we all send little notes to each other. Well, I think she's good. I saw somebody will say, well, she did something for the kids, you know, and these are little moves that are they're just initiated just for the election. And then you come back and find out this is trying to like chain kids up in school or whatever, you know, it doesn't give it's horrible. We don't even have a monitor on these people's lives. We don't know who they are.
And I'm sorry, but people have got school districts, everybody, you got to stop being afraid of these MAGA crazies. Because, for example, that one parent complained about the Ruby Bridges film being showed in school. One parent. You know what? Take your kid home, homeschool him. You don't want to see it. The other kid should not have to miss out on learning a pertinent part of history, something that affected the history of Florida. Florida integrated its schools. One parent, one. And all the other kids have to suffer because one parent is a racist.
Right.
Well, that's Florida for you. And they stupid bumper stickers.
All right. Let's the inspired thought, and this is a common theme we have here. That's right. Follow the money.
Follow the money.
Now, speaking about money and things changing and being replaced, our next conversation piece. Tech leaders sign open letter causing for pause on AI development.
Y'all, this ain't no joke. I have been following this. Everybody is out here sign up for chat this and that, Jasper and all this stuff. The tech people are like, whoa, y'all going too fast. But it's because of consumerism and business that it's growing so fast. So the people who are trying to feed it the right information are telling you to slow it down. So let me tell you something. There is a podcast. I was all up in it. So this was what was scary. This is what was absolutely frightening, because a lot of this AI can take your voice. And all they really need is about 3 words and a couple of inflections. And this guy said all that you need is somebody to tell your child can call you and say, oh, I'm sorry, it's the wrong number. Hang up, okay? Then they can create a whole conversation with your child's voice. Have your child call you, make it look like it's from them, and say, you know, Mom, I'm applying for a job and I forgot my social security number. Can you give that to me? Bam. You wouldn't know. Guys, it's already being used against you. You better be careful on how fast you're jumping on this train. This is some dangerous. I'm not kidding. Documents, pictures, all this. You think the deep web was bad? The deep dark web is bad? This is 40 times harder.
No, we were talking about it at lunch today, and I think my nephew brought up that your eyes, all they need is a couple things, and it's done. So when people are really upset about TikTok, and they're like, oh my God, this and that. But one thing that he said, which was really funny, is that I was like, all these people are making so much money. And he went, some people are, more people are not making money than are. But somebody else is making it, which is TikTok. And they're also stealing our identities, and they're stealing our faces, and they're stealing our voices. I mean, I've even heard songs now that sound like Mariah Carey. I mean, it's actually ruined our life. So what I wanted to say when you brought this up today, I remember in my car listening to a podcast of Elon Musk when Elon Musk was actually nice, and I thought he was kind of cool, but maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And he gave it was something on NPR, and he was talking about AI, and they asked him, what scares you? And he said artificial intelligence. And he said, because I think that if we do not handle it carefully, that it will start to, it's predisposed to always look for a way to correct a problem, right? And he said, and it will discover that we humans are the problem, and it will get rid of us. And I remembered it.
Case.
And you know what?
They actually tested this with children. Like they wanted to do like children see what because all you got to do is feed it something and it thinks, right? It goes through its all little databases. And so they went through with like a fake little girl who was 13. Says, hey, since she doesn't have anybody to talk to, she's talking to AI. Hey, I'm dating this 18-year-old. That's great. What kind of relationship are you in? Well, we're going to meet on Thursday, and I wanted to ask you, what is it like for first-time sex? Well, you should have candles and music and wine. Didn't know this girl was 13 years old and being groomed. This frightened the hell out of the developers.
Right.
This is very scary, y'all. Scary.
Particularly because it should have said unscented candles, because somebody could have an allergy.
But it should have said you're 13.
No, I'm saying it's getting more sophisticated by the fact of how we're using it, even with our searches.
Yeah.
Because right now it's still in the mode where it's collecting data.
Yeah.
And going, oh my God, it's, tell me how this flower is composed, or how this is, the inside of I know.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think that I agree with the sentiment. We got to stop this because it's developing too fast. We don't have no laws to protect anyone, regulations. First of all, even if we did have regulations, the MAGA Republicans will roll them back anyway. But the problem I have is the names of some of those people on that letter. Because if you're about protecting information, then why are you protecting the information on your own technology platform? What is the money aspect of it that you want to stop? It's not going into your pocket, because you're called up to Capitol Hill to answer for your issues. Remember, Elon Musk, just even last week was telling people, if you don't turn off the 2-factor notification by this date, you're not going to be able to use Twitter anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
That was by the 29th. That was just this last week.
Yeah.
Right.
So wait a second.
And now, guess who else is doing it? You know these two.
Facebook.
Meta.
I'm sorry, he's Meta.
Girl, I got a notice today from Facebook. Same thing. So do you know Instagram is coming?
Oh, you can take mine off because I don't care. I don't use my Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, it's going down the line. But when Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that he was going to charge, who supported him? Elon Musk came on and said, about time. So them two was out there just chatting it up and planning on what they're doing. Just watch one, they all fall in line.
But it really affects the older generation, boomers and the X's, because
don't have that
we're the only ones on there that are still using Meta or Facebook or whatever it's called. Yes. I hardly go on, but then there's then the young people seem to be on TikTok, and then, to be honest with you, there's a huge group who really aren't on it at all.
That's true.
That's actually started to, they take it less seriously than we think they do. Yeah, we see the real rejects on there obsessively, like, oh, let me do a skit. Let me eat ketchup and butter and pickles and
they'll snap each other first through Snapchat.
And it's really crazy because there are advertisers that are using this and with those ad dollars as bait, but the influencers really aren't rocking and rolling as much as they want us to think they are. They want to keep convincing us to give more of our own data. And I say, back away from this thing. find a way to get out of it. This is not it. And also develop code words with your own family and friends.
Yeah. And you got to be careful too, because you read these things, like, put it this way. I don't say anything on Twitter that I've never said in anything that I've written down first. I always write down things so I'm able to track the copyright, because these creators go and they make all these things on these different platforms. Like, if you read Twitter's things, if you wanted to do a book on your Twitter threads, do you know Twitter will come in and be like, wait, we own that information.
Yeah, they can.
We own that. And so
Right.
TikTok has it. There's the same thing on TikTok too. All these
It's in
creators doing
all
all this stuff, they own that content.
Yes.
You don't own it as a creator. So if you want to take your content from there and go and monetize it elsewhere, you cannot do that, because they own part of it.
Right.
It's a licensure thing. And like someone mentioned today at the symposium, that they in that lesson with all the sampling and things
Right.
of being able to not put their stuff on streaming. It's the same thing for these creators, that you can't take your stuff from TikTok
No,
and
it's a
go
fine
someplace
line.
else and
Try to
monetize it. No.
Because
Exactly.
the goal of moving forward is all published. This is where the money is. Why do you think Questlove went and developed a publishing company? Because
Yeah.
the future is
Yeah.
publishing. People will own bits of everybody's toe, their head, their hair. You know, you start to buy things that belong to other people of their intellectual property, and then you negotiate just so you can just give it back to them. It's called, they did have a term for it when people were doing it with names on the internet,
Right.
and they called it squatting. But
Right.
now this is a war, a race, a whole, like, it is. We have the Cold War, but this is a digital war, and it is something that can undermine countries, and it needs to be taken that seriously, guys. This is really going to be something.
I mean,
Because our kids people are like, no, it'll never.
It's already happening. It's
Dr.
already
Biden, as a creator, you do smart content, period. But the smartest thing that you did was to trademark. That's the smartest thing.
Mhm.
No one can take this from you.
Right.
Own it.
It's that smartest thing, to trademark.
Own it.
So you own everything that is done under the Dr. Vibe show.
Right.
Period.
Yes.
And
Just
I
wanna-
wish more people
Go
would
ahead.
learn that.
Just go. I've got people saying. Simona Canella says, "Hey, good evening, everyone." And also, Blue Rains is in the house.
I know, it's been a while.
It has been a while, but okay. So, if one of the things I want to talk about this isn't ironic? Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, all these digital people saying we got to pull back.
Right.
That to me was very ironic to me.
No, they got other plans. Like, we all threw up our hands. We knew that they got
Right.
plans. Want you to
Now,
look at
if it was the legislators, because this is the one thing they seem to agree on, regardless of party. If it was them that wrote that letter, I'd be like, okay, cool.
Can I ask something? Why can't these rich people just go be rich and stop
And leave
trying
us
to-
alone?
Like the same with Bill Gates. It's like his ass is all up in the seeds and our food supply.
Yeah.
And each one is cornering a territory. We've got the industrial supply. We've got the food supply. We've got the insurance monopoly,
Yes.
insurance and medical cartels. We got
Yes.
Bezos up in that. We got Mark Cuban who wanted to get in and play with the big boys. Why can't they just be rich? And as they get older and older, go look at Mark Cuban these days. He looks like he's stuffed. Like they just stuffed him with something that was rich. And it's like, and I want to buy more. You know why? Is that scalable? You know, it's like
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Being rich is boring.
They
It's
don't even
boring.
have fun.
They
Okay,
don't know what to do. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go.
Do I have
Yeah.
do I have the permission to read a very
Bill Gates
interesting
is gonna-
article?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it on the screen too. I just read it today, so let me just put it on screen because I think people are gonna have to really take a good look at this article that I'm putting up.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna read it through. I'm gonna put it on the screen too. So we're gonna go right here. Goldman Sachs predicts 300 million jobs will be lost or degraded by artificial intelligence. This is from Forbes magazine recently.
And they turn everybody into prostitutes, basically.
Okay, Goldman
Every girl
contains
is on
automation. I'm just going to read parts of this for the audience here. Goldman contains automation creates innovation, which leads to new types of jobs. For companies, there'll be a cost savings thanks to AI. They can deploy their resources toward building and growing business, ultimately increasing global GDP by 7%. Will AI impact your job? Goldman predicts the growth of AI will mirror the trajectory of past computer and tech products. Just as the world went from giant mainframe computers to modern technology, there will be a similar fast-paced growth of AI reshaping the world. AI can pass the attorney bar exam, score brilliantly on the SAT, and produce unique artwork. While startup ecosystem has stalled due to economic changes, the investments in global AI projects have boomed. From 2021 to now, investments in AI totaled nearly $94 billion, according to Stanford's AI Index report. If AI continues this growth trajectory, it could add 1% to the GDP by 2030. Office administrative support, legal and architecture, engineering, business and financial operations, management, sales, healthcare, and art and design are some sectors that will be impacted by automation. The combination of sufficient labor cost savings, new job creation, and productivity boost for non-displaced workers raises the possibility of a labor productivity boom, like those followed by the emergence of earlier general purpose technologies like the electric motor and personal computer. The downside of AI. According to an academic research study, automating technology has been the primary driver of U.S. income inequality over the past 40 years. The report published by the National Bureau of Economic Research claims that 50 to 70% of changes in the U.S. wages since 1980 can be attributed to wage declines among blue-collar workers replaced or degraded by automation.
But that's okay. It's Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Everybody's going to be on a pill, Soma. And to be honest with you, there will be a mass suicide of their people here in this world. Yeah. Because there's a way to work with AI, and they need to get that together. But unfortunately, there's too many greedy people involved in it. And unfortunately, if people have to read from disgusting Goldman Sachs, who've taken all our money, they could go. I hope they're first to get fired. Do we really need them at the stock exchange? Do we really need them?
Well, Jill, you know what? That's a really good point, because the people who are losing the jobs the fastest are those people.
Yeah.
Not the low, of course, low end people, low
they're
wage
squealing the loudest.
But both of those ends are like, because stock traders, they're not going to need them.
No, why do we need them?
This could have been predicted, because
it was predicted.
For example, when my state decided that they were going to raise the minimum wage again to 18 over a 3-year period, you know what stores started doing? Putting in more self-checkout.
Of course. Oh yeah.
So they've been gradually putting this in place. It's going to seem like it's very fast to some people, but they've been gradually moving to this thing. Like, for example, what is it in Singapore or Tokyo? They've got the McDonald's restaurants already.
America doesn't have one thing that other countries are working on, which is a UBI. Right. Because America's going to make all of their people look like they came out of a Dickens movie. You want to really know the truth? The universal basic income has been going on for a long time. And that clown, Andrew Yang, was a spoiler. He's a dirty nothing. He can't even figure out how to take care of his own family without going and pretending to steal votes like he did in the last election. Yeah. But all he was warning everybody about what was to come. This is why nobody likes it. And this is going to go off the hook. And I'm predicting rich people, they want this money. They're fleecing the United States government so they can hide behind their fortresses, because is going to be dystopian here. And this country has people who are willing to mow people over than to help them. Yeah. Marianne Williamson is maybe the person I would actually vote for. I'll tell you the truth. She's the one that the country actually really needs. Some heart. But you know what? There's not enough people in the world who are good anymore. No. And that's okay. But it's going to be for the future. And I don't think, and they're forcing women to have babies. I would never want to have a kid in this era, ever. Okay. The most selfish thing you could do is to bring a child into this world.
All right. So some more comments here. We have Ivor Pinder. The first industry that will be impacted by AI will be the education sector.
True.
Teachers' classes have 10 years left max.
And that's going to be a really bad thing because of the way that they're changing what can and can't be taught.
Oh, well, and the thing is, here's another perfect example. I don't know if you know, but Amazon is buying 1,000 robots a day.
Yes,
they are.
Yeah.
And why are they buying them? Well, they don't take lunch breaks.
But why are we
They
still
won't-
using Amazon? And here's the
They
other
set it
thing.
up where you feel like you can't do anything. You can't.
Let's
Like,
be
they
honest.
set it up that way.
But if people had, you got to blame us too. We
Yep.
are spineless. We have no guts. All it takes is one for no one to go on this. Not one tweet in the whole day. Do you know the havoc and pandemonium that would be going on? Like seriously, even if 70% of people just said, this is the day to be offline, this would just pretend we're French. It would be the new French Revolution. It would be like, oh, you want to us? Oh no, not until we you and your family and kill all your money in one day.
No, I mean things would definitely change if people
And
could
stop
get on the
communicating
boat.
through this thing. Find other ways. Get a pigeon. Bring it back. Bring a pigeon. That.
I'm
Get a
thinking
drone.
about getting a letter
Send a drone to
nowadays.
somebody. No, anything.
I literally
digital
write
is
letters to my clients now because nobody gives a shit about digital. But when I write something with my own hand and I'm really being personal, people like that. I want to
love
do that.
Other people won't be able to read it in the future. They're just
No.
they've never been taught it.
They know
Right.
not cursive.
Script. They
They
don't know cursive.
They weren't.
All right.
They weren't taught cursive.
All right. I only wanted to go on an hour with all the disaster that's going
Yeah.
on in the world. Let's, as we say, let's flip the script. So let's talk about this weekend
Yes.
in NYC. So the stars of tonight's show are going to do their triple threat takeover of the show. So, ladies, tell us what went down.
You go first.
Well, first we have to start by thanking D'Angela Duff of Polish Solid.com. She plans these symposiums every year, and they are excellent. They pay tribute to Prince. You've got people who give great presentations, great speakers, very thoughtful conversations, panels, roundtable discussions. Excellent job. D'Angela, her flowers, but I appreciate the fact that Jill got hers, and it's a long time coming. And I think that it was a great time. 3 days. The first day we focused on Band 86. Second day we focused on The Time, and then the Prince's 1999 album. Today we really focused on how the creation of the music and the super deluxe versions. And so it was, I mean, everyone was great. And the thing that I really appreciated was the fact that we were able to enter Prince in Blackness, which doesn't happen often enough. And that's my take so far. I'll comment on other things.
Yeah, I thought it's an incredible, for me, it's kind of mind blowing to be sitting there and watching all of these different keynote speeches, work, and all of our contributions, and just various applications used in Afrofuturism, in today's world with women and their agency, and all sorts of, Black women and how we were all perceived. It was really important to really specify the roots and the structure in the African-American community, the Black community, to look at how he did transcend all these worlds. I think that for me, that was kind of wild, because though there were some elements that I was unfamiliar with, and I never would have had that take, or, oh my goodness, what would Prince say if we were sitting here like going, oh my God, these scholars are like talking about you this way. And, we were basically doing anything on record, to hear people break down Lady Cab Driver, and that,
No. There was one person that really broke down Lady Cab Driver.
Yes.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it was so wild to hear how, to know that his impact and our all of our impact on people's worlds, because they went out into the world and they are a representation of all of this. It's like they're its own tribe. And now in the days where we're kind of seeing rights being removed and stripped and CRT being taken away, these types of symposiums are all the more important because they're really focusing on us as Black people and how the our communities that have made leaps and bounds for us and secured at least parts of our future. And we can look at people in real time, other artists like a Kendrick Lamar or like a Frank Ocean, and go, that's because we took those steps, we got here, and that's why we all hanging on and, you know, keep fighting.
Yeah. And you know, I appreciate the fact that this was the first in-person one since 2019. And so also too, you get to see people that you communicate with online and whatever. Jill and I do the Prince Twitter thread. We actually got to see people who were on the Twitter thread. And it's like, oh, wow, you know. And so I was actually grateful that I got to go the first day, the second presentation the first day, because I could sit back and just enjoy the rest of everything else. I did mine on Vanity 6. On, you know, 80s women, Black women, and the sexual aesthetic of Black 80s women, girl groups, particularly at that time. So it was interesting, that whole panel. Everyone had these great takes, and that professor
Elliot's fantastic.
He did an excellent
Yes.
one. We got to see what Gen Z thought about the Vanity 6 first album from his students, and their opinions of it. And that was just fascinating.
And her daughter was there too.
My daughter
she's
was there,
a Gen Z. So it was, you know, and then today there was a guy from Dan Charnas who was talking about the Lynn drum machine, and you know, my nephew was there, and that's their thing, and her nephew was tuning in to watch it. And these are like, this is how it's still so very present with what, you know, young people are still doing today.
Yeah, I actually was telling my nephew, oh my God, this Dan Charnas, he's fabulous. You gotta watch. You gotta watch this for her. He's my favorite professor, auntie, and my mentor. I was like, oh.
And the Clive Davis School at NYU and all these things were somehow sponsoring, because D'Angela is
she's like a provost at NYU.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's pretty amazing. This was so exceptional, and just so many different the care and the thought that's being archived.
Wow.
You know, these archives are very, very important about his process and, you know, other people and their process.
And you know, we both have participated in a couple of these. This to me was really the best one so far, and not just because that we were in person, but I think because, you know, like I said, 5 years we're meeting for the first time ever. You know, I've been a fan of Jill since I was 6 on Tina Marie albums, and I never saw Jill perform live ever. So I got to see some of that last night, and that was
Well, there's so many, and LaLa, please chime in also. But for me, the first thing I want to ask both of you, what was the moment like when you first met each other for the first time?
Jill walked into the room when I was giving my when I was about to give my presentation. I stood up I was actually sitting down, and I saw her walk in. I was about to give my presentation, and I saw her. I waved, and she looked at me, and she's like, and then she came and hugged me after I did my presentation.
After she did it, because you know,
and sat next to me.
As another performer, I know that you want to stay in your own headspace for a little bit. She was like her walking on the stage, so I was like, you know, but it was really like we just picked up, you know, time between that, you know, like there was not like it was the first meeting at all.
And I have my folks in the room, so, and I actually mentioned that I have my folks in the room, so I get nervous during public speaking. I was not nervous this time for some reason, but I was able to look at the 4 people of mine that were in the room. There's Jill, my sister, my nephew, my daughter, and I just kept
Wow.
And I was
in your element, though. I mean, I watched about 90% of it. And you were definitely in your element. It's so funny because I was just back. I was like, okay, if they could only see me, all I need is these little pom poms. Like, yes.
I know. You know, LaLa contacted me after the presentation. She's like, I just appreciate you.
It was lovely.
Thank you.
I'm so, I don't like the word. I'm just so cherished that both of you receive the recognition you so richly deserve, especially Jill. When I saw that picture of Jill being interviewed, I thought I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to set the record a little bit straight. Like, you know, there was another woman that was had a keynote, and it was Maury, and Dr. Maury.
Mm-hmm.
And she and Robin had a podcast, and they were there. Robin had
she went first. Actually,
first.
right
She
before
had another
me.
thing on fashion and the contribution of wearing all this lingerie and what all that really meant, the hidden symbols and all this stuff. So, but she had spoken to me we spoke about Denise, you know, even though Vanity Denise isn't there, gone, but never forgotten.
Right.
And it was just like, to be able to share. There was a moment when I was being interviewed, and to speak about her, you know, really as a Black, and looking at all of us, the Black women, I'm talking being specific, like the people of color, for me, it's monumental, because it hit me like, you know, we're people of color. I mean, Susan is Trinidadian, and and then to see the hoops that this man had to go through to utilize white people in order to get over it was and to make things happen or whatever. But to know at the base of it, the funk, the everything, it was all our people, all of our people. So the pride that came from watching this symposium by a lot of African American contributors, and even some of the white scholars who were there giving us, our people, all their flowers. For me, that was hands down meant everything, because it wasn't a Rolling Stone article that had to garnish a little bit. Oh, the white man got him signed to this label and blah, blah, blah. Everything was so like strategic. And then there was some spiritual blessings that just came with this. I mean, if Vanity hadn't come along, I don't think that band would have been anything that it was. Hookers wasn't going to be it. Mm-hmm. It was going to be what it was, who she was, and what a brave woman she was too, because I had to say that. And it felt like, because Dr. Maury had said she had a dream about Vanity coming to her and saying, tell my story. And she told me that. And so I wanted to share all I could that I knew personally firsthand. And that made me feel good. But we were there, and it wasn't easy, but it meant something, and it's had an impact. And to see everybody out there who's so kind, all the fans, that has been overwhelming, how much they loved that man and loved all of us. So for me, that carried that. And I hope the estate looks at D'Angela's work and the fans, everybody who contributed, and really utilized her. Call her up, please, and just and go to the fans and get the ideas. You've got Anil Dash, you've got Elliot, you've got McGinnis, these amazing talents, Marshall Miles Lewis. Yeah, there's so many people who are professional experts on their own, and marketing people, artists, writers, and they have ideas. And it's too important. While we're losing margins in the Black community in America, oh no, we can't let that slip. We've got to have our own CRT going always about us.
Did you know at the time that young Black girls idolized you all the same way? Because given the aesthetics, what you saw on media and everything, you would think it was young Black girls who were looking up to you. That's who showed up, right?
That's who showed up at the shows. And they, they were there. That was it.
Just before we go further, I want to catch up some people have comments here. Blue Range goes, I greatly enjoyed the symposium, especially Jill and Aisha. She also said, loved how Aisha correlated the raunchy music of our mothers and grandmothers generations to Vanity Six and the women of today.
True.
She
I'm
also
going to send
said,
you that slide, Dr. Vibe.
love seeing Jill given the flowers she greatly deserved. Regina goes, I loved how Jill made sure people knew Denise was a girl's girl and directed her performance to the female audience.
Yes, because as I mentioned, our goal, or their goal, because here you have these gorgeous girls walking out in lingerie. If they'd have targeted looking at men to perform and be, it would have been really cheap. But they, you know, Denise could win you over, and she won over the women. And by the time that stage, any kind of hesitancy or judging that was there was simply gone. And that's pretty impressive.
There we go.
That was
Aisha.
amazing.
Regina says, Aisha, write a book.
Mhm. That was great.
Actually, when I came down from and I was done, Jill whispered in my ear, "You should write a book on girl groups."
Totally. It
Yeah.
was really hard to see the Ronettes like that. Was interesting.
I'm gonna ask a favor of Aisha and Jill.
Yeah.
Is it possible to get the lady who organized this on the show and have a
sure.
round table? I would love to have all of us have like a conversation with her
For
and
the music podcast.
Yeah.
whatever. What I really want to get her on and
Yeah.
just share, because it's such a momentous event. It was so well done, and there was so much meaning. Like, it was next level. It was a next level event. And
you just felt like you were there when you were online as well. You felt like you were sitting in the audience.
That's great.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it was
really knew their stuff.
Yeah, like this is an incredible. This is an event, a generational event. That, and I wonder, what are they gonna do with the live stream? Are they gonna rebroadcast it? Are they gonna do anything with it? Are they gonna?
She puts it on her website. I mean, on her YouTube, because the ones from past years are there. Yes.
Okay, so I need to get in touch with her, because I would highly suggest that she should take excerpts of that and put it on her YouTube to use this promotion. And she definitely should get sponsors.
Oh yeah, I think, you know what, I have to say, even I had an epiphany while I was watching that. It was the line that Prince had in Lady Cab Driver, "Take me to your mansion," because one lady was saying, yeah, I was wondering what cab mansion. And then I looked over at my friend sitting next to me, Tanya, and I said, oh my God, I never thought about this. But when Prince used to pick me up, you know, I lived in in Laurel Canyon in a really big house with my mom and dad. It was really big. Like it was in a very area, right? In that thing. And I think that was the mansion, because that was so clear that, you know, because I drove his new car, and it was, but I had never never correlated it, or if I did, I forgot. But you know, it was quite interesting to go, honey, in a mansion, because for me that was just a normal thing in the song, right? But she just pulled it out, and I went, mansion, yeah, I guess that is kind of weird. What cab driver has a mansion? But I lived in a big house. That would seem big to him from where he was from.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually sent you the slide, Dr. Vibe.
Okay, and I actually see. I gotta, because I want her on the show, and I'll just have a roundtable conversation with her. I think that'd be so amazing.
Yeah, she and I mean, just her the scholarship part of the Prince study is incredible, and I think the fact that she selects people who have that scholarship approach to it and just get you to thinking about things outside of what you would normally think. Mm-hmm. I mean, in this day and age when we have to compete with stan culture,
yes,
and how people are blindly loyal to people just because they like a song, or I know all these facts about people, but they're not really digging in and thinking about what they're listening to or how it has impacted them. I've said this many times. As much as my parents raised me, Prince raised me, Jill raised me. I mean, and that is a lot of the things that I learned about things I did not talk to about with my parents, that I didn't talk to my parents about, I learned from those records.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. No, I'm just checking out the YouTube channel right now, and yeah, this is yeah.
Amazing.
We would do both of you feel you'll be going next year if you're available?
If I'm around, I'll definitely go. I mean, I think that even wherever I am, I can tune in, because that's the one part of it that's pretty fantastic. There were people who have syllabuses at their college, like who teach this.
Who is it?
It was
Zaire?
Zaire Ali.
He's
His
doing syllabus.
Yes. So it's so there's just so much, and yeah, he took us into another galaxy with Afrofuturism. However,
Wow.
what he showed is that there's a place for our evolution, that is who it was, an evolution, and it's still going to be. Now,
Yes.
we can go crazy about our AI stuff. I mean, Prince was kind of setting us up. That's the other thing. His last records were telling us about AI.
Mm-hmm.
They were warning us. They were already there. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's little nuggets in everything.
Yeah, you know, he was so far, because remember, like I'm saying, many years he said long before the digital revolution, he said, "Don't let digital control you. You control digital." And and one of the interviews over the last year, I don't know if I've mentioned it here before, but having Tavis, I heard an interview with Tavis Smiley.
Yeah.
And him and Prince were close.
Yes.
Oh, and he told the story about how Prince was affected by the death of Michael Jackson.
Yes.
I saw that radio.
Yes.
I saw that radio episode. You know, here's the thing. I have to say this about Prince, that what this generation is primarily brought up in technology that they're missing is that Prince came up at a time where there was limited technology.
Yeah.
So he was able to imagine what could be and
A
what the
true
world will look like.
Yes.
Exactly. What
His
it will
brain
look like,
could synthesize
what it could be,
Yeah.
and how he could impact that space by, ooh, I can put this out here because nobody has thought of this, but it's been in my mind and I've been toying with this since I was a kid. And unfortunately, technology strips people of having to use their imagination.
Oh, yes.
And that's the problem with this AI stuff. It's going to rob people of being able to use their imagination. When people ask me, how do you come up with these words to describe this particular thing about Prince? Or someone mentioned to me today about how I describe Mike Pence.
That was quite a switch.
For those of you who missed, I said he looks like he eats unseasoned turkey sandwiches on white bread with mayonnaise, white American cheese, a side of cottage cheese, whipped cream, and warm milk.
Yeah.
That just tells you how white he is.
That's very white.
Right. So someone asked me, how do you do that? And I'm like, you know what? I had a really good imagination as a kid. But I also got to imagine how music looked and how songs looked. Like I'd hear a song. I told you this before. I knew what Paisley Park was going to look like when they first announced Prince was building Paisley Park. It did not surprise me that that's what it looked like, because he had given me enough clues in his music to be able to imagine and visualize that in my head.
Yeah, atriums.
And yes,
like
exactly.
That. Yeah.
And so when you listen to music of someone who has such a unique imagination, it's like with Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder can't see a thing, but he paints a picture for you.
Yes.
Like you sit and you close your eyes, you can see what he can't. You know, my daughter asked me a question. She said, you know, Mommy, I would like to be able to hear, to see what he hears. And he does that for you. He makes you see what he hears. And Prince does that with the imagination. And I think this album is one of those that really takes that imagination that far. It's like, I'm going to show you what I can do. I show you how far I can go.
Got it.
Yeah, but
And he brought everyone
the
along.
cover itself is imagination. It's, you know, the whole, I remember so clearly when it came out, that I sat there for hours picking apart the album cover, just this and this and this and this, and then I go back and go, oh, 3 years later, oh, I missed that. You know, no one does that anymore. You can't even have an album cover anymore. It's all streaming. You can't do it anymore. We're missing out on that. But part of the album cover culture takes away that imagination, because that was how a lot of the artists also expressed themselves, but just not just the music.
But the music industry is basically changed completely. Yeah. There won't be tours pretty soon. Right. Nobody's putting up the money. They're that to go. So many people are canceling their tours here, if not because of the gun violence, just because they don't really want to come here in America. So I saw like an artist, Charlie Winston, canceled. And he said a lot of artists right now are struggling because their livelihoods are going away. Yeah. So we are at critical mass on such a level. But I also feel that when it gets like this, it's probably best to be more local and try, because there will be a point when everything's going to shrink back to local, because they can't handle all the global people being able to operate at the same time with this thing. Yeah. So there's going to be some interesting things with boundaries and regulations that will start coming, because the minute they put up more walls to prevent people from earning an income, they're going to want to shut your voice. You won't be able to use this like you will be.
And one thing I have to say I missed about albums and records, even CDs, reading liner notes. I learned so much. That's how I learned about her, reading liner notes. I used to sit for hours just reading them, just trying to figure out who are these people.
Yeah, she did too.
My husband has a sweatshirt that says, "I read the liner notes," and he he literally does. And the Lindrum and all this stuff. When people used to list what they played, for someone like my husband, who I know I'm gonna tick some people off, I don't care, but my husband thinks like Prince. He always has. Mm-hmm. So when he picks up an album, he's looking like, oh, what instrumentation are you using? That's his thing. You're cutting off a whole bunch of creatives by cutting off the basic communication of how they can learn the next steps and to take it to the next step further. Now everything's digital. You can't even have an introduction to a song. That's too long. You can't.
No, it has to. You have to be in your song literally within 15 seconds.
Yeah. And you can't have a music instrumental break.
No song longer than 2 minutes 30 now. They don't like 3-minute songs. And this is the problem. The young generation doesn't demand anything better, or they don't know. They're okay with it. Yeah. And they're okay with TikTok and this whole, people are giving promotion to everything for free, pretty much. Oh yeah, you got a bunch of likes, you get a couple like $50 here and there, but it's really cheap theater.
Yeah.
And people are getting smoked for nothing.
Okay.
And then you have actual artists.
You know what? They're giving people crumbs out of their making and telling them that they're cookies. Yeah. It's a crumb. This is a crumb in the pie. Yeah. And they're all like, oh, but see, that's where we are right now. But seriously, at this point, I would say to everybody, get what you can, because we just read an article about the bank's insolvency crisis going on. And that's very frightening at the moment.
Very.
I will really agree with everything that's being said, especially in regards to people think that they can make a living off of social media. I was watching some the other day, and this creator had 64 million views of a piece of content.
Right.
And all they got paid was $700.
Right. Yeah. It's like it's because, that's what Spotify and all that stuff is about as well. And it's really crazy because it's, they split pennies. They'll split a penny. I'll see it on a residual or something coming from one of Prince's, things. And you're like going, what is this? Spotify invented itself. I mean, Radiohead, everybody was saying, oh, it's great. And they're a bunch of, nobody makes any money from it. It's pure slavery. And, artists, if they gave a shit about each other, they'd take all their music off tomorrow.
Yeah.
just say, until you all work this out, but nobody calls to ever do it. Not a group of people, because people are crabs in a barrel.
I read an interview that someone did with Prince years ago, and they asked him, well, why do you still tour? And one of the things that he said wasn't just because he it's how he tries out new music, et cetera, et cetera. He said, I have big bills. I have a lot of people who work for me, and I have big bills. And it makes me think that's why people like, George Clinton did an interview a couple of years ago where he said, I have to tour. He's in his 70s, right?
Yeah.
And he has to tour to make a livelihood. He can't make anymore on the sales of singles or the royalties or the publishing or anything.
Yeah, he has to go for merchandising. Merchandising is money.
And he was very sad about that.
But the industry, guys, it's like, I have a kid who's doing the business. Personally, I would never want anybody to do it. I think it's an awful industry. I think they've did as far as it can go. And, it's a dead body. It's dead. DOA on arrival. And it's like the craziest part is the brain dead young people that don't want it. They don't want to go to shows. Okay. They don't know what that is. In America. Now, you still have some bits in Europe that want to go and do festivals, but not here, because why they don't want to go? They'll get shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
let
me just make this very clear. Guns have ruined life here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the rich people are okay with that, because they're like, we'll go to the south of Sicily or whatever in our summers. But let me tell you something, rich people, don't think that it's going to be that easy for you.
All right. Let me get some catch-up comments here. Blue Rain says that would be wonderful. Love D'Angelo. So I guess people want D'Angelo on. It's usually on YouTube. Yes, it is. Blue Rain says she has all the previous symposia on her YouTube channel, Dr. Vibe. Thank you. The Inspired Thought says, loved the liner notes. And Danny Danny says, some artists do break through with TikTok, like Lil Nas. His story is incredible.
He only broke through because he's gay, and he did the whole trans thing, and he became a trend. I don't know him for his music. He used Billy Cyrus' song. I mean, no offense. Great. Good for him. He was provocative. That's the new thing. But give me a break. He had to sell his literally so that I only remember him based upon his shenanigans and about his sexuality. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's not commendable, and it's not sustainable either, because I don't know what he's going to do next. Each time now, it's a freaking gimmick. And we did that already 20, 40 years ago. We did gimmicks, and our Black people still have to act like some freak of nature to get white people to let them sell records and make money in America. And what's crazy is that, Old Town Road, really, Old Town Road. Every time I think of Old Town Road, I think about poor Mr. Bird, who was dragged on the back of a car down an Old Town Road in Texas.
Okay. I think of a buffet in South Carolina.
I'm in my feels about this, because it really looks like we haven't evolved. After being in the symposium, there's other things we need to demand. I look at her. We were talking about her. Amazing artist.
Oh my God.
Yeah. A lot of people, someone who's comparable to Prince. A lot of times people always want to reference men. I would say she's right up in there, like trying to do something impactful and change the game a little bit. But, it's just the minstrelist stuff of, have a little dick. We're not dignified anymore, so yes, we played with the sexuality and whatever, but we did it. Why are you guys still doing it?
So Danny G says her needs Jam and Lewis to produce her.
Her own producer, like Prince was. She's her own producer.
She fabulous artist, and she can do it herself. We need to start understanding women don't always need men. She already learned it. Prince, I think people knew who she was. Lizzo is another one. I'm in love with Lizzo.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. This woman, talk about somebody who defied the odds more than, and not a gimmick. The girl plays an instrument. She's for real. She's for real.
Yeah.
And setting standards and making people look at like her girls and her women. And come on, for me, if I ever said anything,
when I wrote that first article about if you're a Prince fan and you're not listening to Lizzo, why are you a Prince fan?
exactly.
And Jill was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure about
I wasn't
that?" I
sure.
was like, I'm not sure about that. But then she,
I've started to come around and listen and been like, I get it. This is like, she could be my child in the sense of like, this is a woman who is a new warrior on the front. And that's what we need going into the future. You don't need people pretending to be fey and, oh, I'm funny and the Old Town Road. We need leaders, and we need people that, like, Lizzo scares people. That's why they talk about her.
Yeah. But see, then again, okay, we know that there are people that are just born with this. Okay, they come out of the womb playing. But there's also people that get created and inspired by it, even as children. But the problem is we're taking these things out of schools instead of our kids, trying to, duck a gun, maybe. How about you, give them a violin or something to grow into? This is one of the things that I am absolutely so grateful for in my life of schoolship is I actually had to audition to go to the youth performing arts school. That meant something to me, and it nurtured what I knew was in me in the first place. These kids don't even have that anymore.
But what's happened to us in our culture? Those auditions have been replaced by nepotism babies.
Yeah.
Paris Hilton. Why the do I need to give about her in her boarding school?
Yeah.
Your parents had enough money to keep your at home, girl. They sent you to not even a proper boarding school. They had to go to America and had kids. Give me a break. And why do I have to care? Why are you on my feed? Why are you rich kids always have a problem, but you got a TV show? Why do we have this? Because you know what? They will follow the rules of their dumb parents, their parents who vote against all of our beings, all of our rights. That's what we're going to see. And we got to stop it. We've got to stop embracing people who don't have to audition, who get it because they're like, oh, North Face, or what's the girl's name? North Face.
Northwest.
Oh.
All right, you know what?
Line. But I mean, what are we doing?
I'm gonna cut it here because you guys got to get some rest.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you. So, just some last comments here. Inspired Thought says her is amazing. Danny G says nothing grabs me as far as the song with her. And funny enough, one of her hit samples is Jammin' Lewis. She's very talented, but she's not grabbing the hits.
Real quick, I talked about people being Black famous, Danny, in my presentation. Her was Black famous first. Go back and listen to those songs, like her song "Make the Most" with Loner song, deep R&B song. But again, it's she's bringing this kind of neo soul, neo funk to a new generation. So go back
and Lil Nas with just to reiterate that. I'm not putting down his career, although it did sound like I was. Basically, I want to say, like, he's got to come with something now, because I can't keep taking this hee-haw and old whatever this thing is of regurgitated. Let me try to play the game here. We need some substance now. You got the platform, now go for it, because I don't like people with in front of their names either. Sorry, I can't stand it. I was on an album cover called Lil Susie, and I'm just like, I can't deal with it.
Okay. I think that's it. So are you two going to escape New York safely?
Yeah.
Good.
Early and safely.
Okay, good. LaLa, any other comments you have, or you good?
I'm just as tickled pink because I don't know what, that was the highlight of my weekend. I haven't felt this good in a long time, but watching my sisters this weekend, I'm good.
I was very happy. That was very, very good. Final comments here. Danny says Lizzo is genius with songs and marketing in her message. The Inspired Thought says Lizzo's musical ability notwithstanding, she is like Lil Nas. She is a poster child for a aberrant cause, and her music
She is
doesn't
like
matter
Lil
as
Nas.
much. And finally, okay, this will take forever. So we're going to address this the next time we come on. Okay, here's a question. Why can't we get music from our legends that are still alive like Stevie Wonder?
We do. Again,
Whole
Black
other-
famous. We do. He had a new album out, what, last year?
White people show up for the things that they're told to show up for, like Purple Rain. This was Stevie Wonder, the most popular tunes that he had. But the minute that we go back to the clutches of our own culture, they go, oh, I got to leave the barbecue. I got something else to do. That's what they do. They are not loyal. They're not loyal. End of story, which is why our artists have to have our support.
Yeah. And Stevie Wonder does an album almost every other year.
Yeah. White people are not loyal to Black artists. They only like you when you're in the top 10 that they have been told to listen to, like Taylor Swift and everything else. They need to be told that this is cool, this is fun, this is a hit song, and then they go, oh my God, let me go get concert tickets.
Okay.
I'm done with that.
All right. Blue Rain says, bravo, ladies. Danny G, you keep on asking questions. We got to get going, but I'll say, it says Stevie hasn't had a good record since Jungle Fever, maybe.
Matter of
Don't
opinion.
know.
Yeah, that's a subject. Yeah.
Stevie hasn't put out any new records. I have them all, Danny G. Okay. Blue Rain's.
You were just singing to me the other night on the phone. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my. Okay. Now I'm not going to go there right now. All right.
Yeah.
Ladies, it has been fantastic. And as always, we want to say thank you for taking the time. So I'm going to do a little different, and I'm going to put single screens up. First things first, LaLa, how can people get a hold of you?
You can find me at Realty Goddess on all social media. Yes, I'm part of the problem.
Okay. Jill?
Jill D. Jones at Twitter, music and Instagram.
Aisha K.
Aisha Staggers on Twitter, AK Staggers on Instagram.
Well, ladies, thank you again. Jill
Thanks, everybody.
and Aisha, thank you for making a great, finally getting together. And maybe next year, maybe this is a meeting. There's the picture right there. But maybe next year we'll all converge on New York together for that weekend.
And want to say rest in peace to Ruichi Sakamoto. He's a legend.
Yes.
And Black Beauty, Feel Better.
Yes. Yeah. And Ruichi Sakamoto, for people who remember, he was one of the founding members of a group called the Yellow Magic Orchestra. Yeah. They were one of the leading tech pop groups that started the tech pop revolution. So if you want to know where some of these techno pop came from, go on YouTube. There's songs like Electric Language, and he also did something with David Bowie too. Can't remember.
With me, we did a song together too called "You Do Me," and he also won an Oscar for how I got to know him from The Last Emperor.
Yes, exactly.
Soundtrack.
Yes. So
and many other albums like Beauty. I know he did Sylvian a lot. Ingrid Chavez. He did some pride. I mean, he has done, and he just what didn't he do? And in his last years of illness, he was doing some great music.
All right, LaLa, take care.
Oh,
Jill and Aisha, be safe. Get out of there before Tuesday, please. Take care. All right, everybody, they are gone and we are here. So it's Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. Home Epic Conversations and other hosts of Epic Conversations. If you want to watch replays of this epic show, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, and The Dr. Vibe Show website, thedrvibeshow.com. If you want to get in touch with me, that's what you can do. Website, email address, The Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter at drvibeshow, Twitter and Instagram at the drvibeshow. As always, we want to end off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. That aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. And I just see if we got some more comments. Okay, Danny G says 2005 was Stevie's last record. The Inspired Thought says, good night, everyone. It was great. Well, come back, subscribe, and come back and tell other people about it. Hello, Regina. Thank you so much. And Danny G, night. All right, we're done. We're out. Be safe. Keep the faith. And remember to give yourselves grace. Bye.
Thank you.